here mental health is like a stigma. And like,
Finding jobs or staying mentally healthy? Namaste everyone, I'm Kamya Jagran from grade 10 from Rai International School Sector 31 Gurugram from India.
Namaste everyone, my name is Arjusha Tripathi. I am from Indian Language School, Lagos, Nigeria.
Good example, I'm Langdon from Kasura High School, Ongdi, Thimphu, Bhutan.
So thank you for joining us on our podcast today. And our topic for today is what are the mental health provisions and measures taken by schools in different countries for students who face academic pressure, peer pressure, and study pressure in their day-to-day lives.
Alright, so I have question to Kinley. That since Bhutan is known for gross national happiness, do you think young people feel less career pressure compared to other countries like Nigeria and India?
I don't think so. Though our country face gross national happiness as its principle or foundation, we students, our country students feel the same pressure as other countries do, as they have their own plan for the future after few years or after 10 or 15 years. So we students of Bhutan also feel the same pressure that your country feels nowadays.
That's really nice. I have a question to Achishya too. Like many Nigerians talk about moving out, moving abroad for jobs. So, do you think that the future generation, Gen Z, would see their future inside or outside your nation?
Thank you for your question, first of all. And I think the current generation of Nigerians, they definitely see their futures abroad, especially places like London, because that's where a lot of the Nigerians prefer to settle. Because number one, in Nigeria, most of the Nigerians comprise of the lower class and the upper class. The middle class are all of the foreigners. So it's not really sustainable for them to work because a lot of the work in Nigeria is mainly labor work or it's like low jobs in in your companies, and they get a lot of other opportunities in outside Nigeria because there's not a lot of opportunities that we find here for the locals. So yes, I do think that the Gen Z mostly sees opportunities outside the country rather than inside. School, when a student is struggling or they're facing any sort of issues, do the teachers take initiative to notice and ask the students if they're doing all right? Or is it just ignored and the students have to bury their feelings?
Archita here. I think the common stress, economic stress and pressure among Buddhist students is exam pressure and the high expectation from the parents' side and teacher side. Exam pressure, cause if I consider my school as an example, in my school I have to attend 2 to 3 tests monthly and 2 to 3 exam yearly. So that stress and exams give us so lot of pressures and with stress that we thought that we can't able to pass it. We are going to fail it, and from the high expectation from teacher side, and the teacher expect us to get out of in their subjects good marks in their subject, and from the parents also they expect us to get a good mark. No, they have a high expectation from us, and if we can't able to fulfill the expectation, we feel stressed, thinking that they're gonna hate us, they're gonna scold us. That thought give us a lot of stress and pressure and not able to cope up with it.
So I like you're writing 2 to 3 exams like per month or something like that.
Yeah, face economic stress and pressure. How did you cope up with it?
You can answer that question because I feel in India it's a little common about. I think you will feel a lot of stress due to the education system that we have.
Yeah, definitely. So whenever I feel stressed, I either vent it out in a diary or whether listening to a song is like my go-to. Like it's legit best. Or maybe talk to yourself, like while having a walk. But it may seem to other person that I'm driving, I'm crazy. But yeah, it's just too peaceful. I do a lot. Like at every night, almost 30 to 45 minutes, I do this.
Wow, your style is really good.
I have a question for both of you. So in your country, which is a bigger struggle for Gen Z, finding jobs or staying mentally healthy?
In Nigeria, I think it's definitely finding jobs. Here,
What?
here, mental health is like a stigma. In like as a lot of societies, mental health is mostly a stigma because the Nigerians here they are very tough. They are very tough minded. They have it's like a lot of them, those who actually go through struggle, they have gone through hell and back. So for them, literally, they work more than like 20 hours per day. They sleep very less. They they have to literally fend because inflation here is really crazy. Like personally, if I tell you, just getting a normal set of everyday groceries like rice, sugar, flour, and all, the basic set of groceries, it costs up to 1.2 lakh naira for basic groceries. 1.2 lakh naira. A normal like loaf of bread and all can cost from maybe what 3,000 3,000 to like what 3,500 to 4,000 naira. Oil here is really expensive. We can yogurt can cost from 7,000 to 9,000 naira. These are like the not even like the extremely good quality ones. These are the very basic bottom line ones. The more quality you get, the more expensive it gets. So here, no one gives really a lot of attention to your brain and all. It's mostly your stomach that they give the attention to because they need to sustain themselves. Kinley, what about you?
I have to consider. In Bhutan, I think finding job is more struggle thing than dealing with the mental health. Cause in every year there are lots of student youth who qualify from the college, who graduate, and in the job market there's a limited of job opportunities. And if they're still not able to find their expert job, they end up roaming in the street, in the cities, and even they end up abusing the drugs. And about the mental health, I think mental health is not that much struggle. Dealing with mental health is not that much problem in my country compared to finding job, because due to the less opportunities due to the less opportunities in job, so
Yeah,
Kamya,
I
what
can
about you?
completely opposite. And here, I guess mental health should be more prioritized because there is a lot of stress among students, like having a pressure to clear entrance exam and all of that. Well, with that, I want to ask you both a question, hypothetical, all right?
Mhm.
If you could design a perfect support system for further generation, so what would you prioritize? Like better jobs, mental health care, or education reform?
I would definitely say educational reform because if we reform our education, automatically mental health does come into the loop. Because if our education system is not so prioritized towards rote learning, at least I personally I study in a CBSE school here, and CBSE has made a lot of changes for sure, but there's still a lot of parts that focus on rote learning. And if we reform our education system to not focus so much on rote learning and on uh, your competitive exams, because every day we see the syllabus of syllabus on a lot of things, it comes down. It's being reduced. We're rationalizing the syllabus. But then the entrance exams and the different exams, their level is being increased. The cutoff is being reduced to 0.14. It's coming down to minute decimals now. And that is putting a lot of pressure. So to fill in that gap, schools and dummy schools and cram schools, as they call it in a lot of countries, are filling it in, and that is putting more pressure. So if we reform our education, we'll be able to reform mental health as well. So to reduce academic pressure, because I think academic pressure is one of the leading causes of self harm and suicide cases in a lot of country nowadays. And when the mental health is better, we'll see people will start to be able to enjoy work more and enjoy whatever they're doing more. So I guess educational reform is definitely a need in today's society. Kamya, what about you? What would you change?
I would change educational reform definitely. And by the way, the way you mentioned, right, ki dummy schools and all of that, by that I remember that in India, CBSE, however, curbed this practice. Now dummy schools are closed, and now to be eligible to appear in 10th and 12th board examinations, students need 75% attendance.
Yeah.
Means they need regular school schooling, and they cannot be enrolled in other institutions, which really creates a lot of pressure. Because after 12th, maybe every students are going to give entrance exam, whether it's JE or NEET. So without proper coaching and all of that, and also having a pressure to have 75% attendance, is built
I think
solid.
also your coaching institutes play a big role in this. Because
Exactly.
let's imagine you're going to 7 hours of school daily. You're coming back home, you're having maybe 1 to 2 hours of rest, and then you're going for another 5 to 6 hours of coaching institute. That is physically, mentally, and morally, emotionally, whatever factor you want to put, that is extremely draining for the human mind and body.
Yes, and with that also comes a pressure to fulfill parents' expectations and your dreams. Because for JE and NEET, people used to study for 12 to 13 hours, which is really exhausting. And then they ask, like, why you all are having mental stress? Like, you are too young to do these things. Like, come on. I just remember something like day before yesterday, I was just silent. I wasn't feeling anything. And I was like, a lot of things are going on in my mind. So my parents just came and said, you are too young to have all these things. And I'm like, I have different things going on in my life. Like, all right, I know. In 10th, I am having concerning this much. So, of course, in future, there would be more challenges. But right now, help me to cope up, not to just let it go. Like,
And talking about helping to cope up, my question to both of you is, do you think that are the parents or are the elders in your country supportive to your students under pressure or under all these situations? Or do they sometimes add to the pressure rather than helping vent out on it? Get 95% in maths and I'll buy you what you like. It's very common, I think, around the world. It's very common. Kamya, I think we already know what happens in India because you just said so. Um, Here in Nigeria, I think the parents are basically like, oh, try and help in the family because even we, you need to. Here, education is taken seriously. It's taken quite seriously here, but it's also like, I mean, students. I mean, here we also have our entrance exam. We have JAMB, that is college exams. Like JAMB is an entrance exam, JAMB. We have WAEC, WAEC, and we have one more, NACO or something of that sorts. There are also entrance exams, and another exam that is very popular is your SAT and IELTS exam. And those are, as you know, they're very tough exams. So parents force students a lot. From like grade 5 or year 5, year 6, you're having students who have not even hit puberty study for college entrance exams. You would be going on the road like in your car and you would see huge posters everywhere, JAMB and WAEC coaching for year 5 students, for year 6 students to year 12 or year 11 or whatever. So That is like the type of pressure that parents can put, that and plus helping out in your household chores or helping out in the cooking and whatever. And plus, a lot of students here, they walk to and from to school, and sometimes the distance can be really far, and the public transports here can take a lot of time to reach, so that takes a lot of time. So basically, Nigeria, a lot of times, is the survival of the fittest for a lot of students.
Okay, so the one thing which you both could change about your country's educational system to make it more better and to make it less exhausting for students' mental health too, what change would you bring?
Kinley, how about you go first?
First, you go.
No, even I'm thinking because I guess the government should make people more aware, since here also pressure and all is a stigma. It's a very big like taboo that has been created in the society. So I think uh, campaigns should normalize, because here in Nigeria, the girls and the boys here, they're very tough. They're very tough minded. They're very thick skinned. I mean, I'm not saying thick skinned in a bad way. I'm saying they're very tough. I mean, when I see myself and the upbringing I had and their upbringing, they are very tough. They've gone through hell and back. This country has gone through hell and back. They can deal with the world in any way. They are very thick skinned. So, and that thick skinned nature is being imposed on people. So even if a child in the family is not thick skinned or tough, but the elder sister or brother is, they will force that onto him, that, oh, you're supposed to be tough, you're Nigerian, you're built this way, you're built that way, you're supposed to be like that. So I think um, people should normalize stress, depression, and mental health. The government also should provide more funding to education. Sure, the funds in Nigeria and the poverty here is, of course, an issue, but I think the government should provide adequate funds for psychologists, psychiatrists. Parents should also understand, and so as should schools, because schools also here, they also impose all these things. Oh, supposed to study for entrance exams. Their curriculum here is also quite pressurized as well. So I guess it's the community as a whole that needs to understand all these things.
Sharing your emotions should be normalized, right? Because it makes you more human. Yeah. What about you, Kinder? What do you think in Bihar happens?
I don't have any idea. I think the government, no, in my country, the government should stop reforming the education system again and again. Every year, they should stop changing education system.
Also, you think there should not be any reforms in the education system anymore?
No, even if there's a reform, they should at least wait for 5 to 6 years to see the progress. But in my country, they are changing every year.
And come here, look at us here in Indian schools begging for reforms. While they're begging, please stop.
Like, even there are changes, people are not aware. Like, there are so many job opportunities AI related, and why does people have to follow the same traditional path like JEE or NEET? Come on, there are various more options. What do you think would be like reason that students are willing to go for the traditional path rather than exploring more career options, whether in the field of AI or any other?
I feel I'd actually read about this before. It's mostly parental expectations. Mostly, a lot of the
Parents
times.
also right at their place, right? Because they
They
want
are,
their children to be
yeah,
secure.
they are not wrong. Definitely, they are not wrong. But see, when something has been happening for generations, you can't, and you want to try and break that. At least in our Indian culture, you'll be looked on upon as a rebel. Everyone in your family is an IAS officer, you have to become an IAS officer. everyone in your family is a doctor, you must become a doctor. You have definitely seen that. People be like, oh, my uncle is a doctor, my aunt is a doctor, my sister is a cardiologist, my brother is a doctor, my dad is a doctor, my mom was a neurosurgeon. I must become a doctor too. That is a mental stigma that's imposed upon people.
There are various options, but there are not much awareness and the same reason you're
Yeah,
told.
awareness. And then a lot of times there's a thing of guilt trapping. Parents would, at least of what I've heard and what I've read, parents would sell their land, they would sell their fields, and then they would put children in these big coaching institutes or these big training places to go study, and they would guilt trap them that I sold my land for this, I sacrificed so much, I brought you up, I did this for you, I did that for you, and they would guilt trap the child. And even when the child is not able to get through the exam because maybe they're not cut out for it, that's why we have aptitude tests. If they're not able to cut out for it, again they're going to a lot of parents. I'm not saying everyone. I'm saying majority. It'll be like, oh, you're not able to do this, you're not able to do that, you're a failure. Look at your cousin brother. He was able to do it, but you're not able to do it. So I feel that's a lot. That's a thing that's happened. That's a thing that happens a lot. So, Kamya, what do you feel about this Nepalese civil war that the youth are doing?
I love this generation. It's on serious. They wanted to take down the government. They did it. They had civic sense. All right. One day they took down the government, and next day I'm seeing reels or my Insta feed saying like they are doing cleaning and all of that stuff, which they messed up or burnt it down. And the very next day they elected a prime minister on Discord. Like crazy, bro. Crazy.
Imagine, like one day the country is in absolute ruins. Next day, everyone's on a Zoom call, on Zoom Pro, and they're editing through Google Forms. Oh, this person prime minister, not prime minister, prime minister, not prime minister. What is the generation, man? I
love
genuinely, I have seen reels.
Dude,
I've seen-
India-Pakistan war in reels, bro. What were even those memes? Pani,
Pakistan gave up. Pakistan was like, I've seen Pakistanis say, oh, you want Lahore, take it. You will only return it after 2 days. The government is that bad.
Bro, that was so, like, they were so unserious. Like, people were so unserious on me. I also have few Pakistani friends. Like, they were like, keep Lahore. You're gonna give it
You will
back.
you will return it 2 days later, don't worry.
True. Oh, by the way, guys, okay, a personal question. What are your like distractions? Like somewhat like it could be anything. Crushes or anything. Like yeah, go.
This.
What
This.
inside it?
This. Whichever monstrosity of a person made this, I don't know.
Okay, so what do you love about our generation, like Gen Z?
We have things figured out. It's not like, in our parents' times, that means you'll relate to this. Whatever our grandparents or our parents, they would have to follow that. You cannot question them. But we have things figured out. We know what we want to do.
I have a very hypothetical question, alright. Archana,
Kamya, you have only been asking hypothetical questions since the start of this podcast. Every question, guys, let's imagine. What?
Guys, I'm a person who creates fake scenarios, like legit. I create fake scenarios with online friends, crushes, and all of that stuff.
Online
That's what I
friends?
do in 30 to 45
Kamya,
minutes.
seek help. Please.
I
If
know,
we're
like,
talking about mental health, I think you need some. Thank you everyone for joining us today. My name is Archana Tripathi and I am with Kamya and Kinley Yangden signing off.